double-barreled shotguns. Okay, guys, today this is going to be a different video again because obviously I don't want to shoot the same thing, but this is something about these. Now, these are from Crono Arms. If you haven't checked them out before, then go and have a look at their website. Crono Arms, spelled C-R-O-N-O, arms.com. And there's a weird story to these, so I'll run you through how I discovered them. I was actually in Evike, Alhambra, the mega store. I was walking through, I was checking out, and I looked over and I saw this on the wall. And I was like, what is that? And so I turned around to the guy who was checking me out and I said, is that for sale? And he said, let me go and check. And he came back and he said, yes, we can sell that to you. It's actually a concept kind of testing thing that we got from a retailer, and we've been playing around with it and we're kind of done playing around with it. So if you want to buy it, you can. And so I bought it from them and I spent a lot of money buying this. I believe it was about $380, which is a huge amount of money for an airsoft gun. That is a plastic shell, effectively. But when I saw it, I was like, you know what? Am I going to see this very often? No, or I haven't seen it before. And I kind of saw the concept of it. And I was like, why has someone not done this before? Because it's actually a very, very good idea. Now, what this takes is these. Now, these are, if you're not aware, it's kind of like your M203 shotgun shells, grenade shells that you would use in an underslung grenade launcher. They are kind of filled with gas. I'll give you guys a quick overview here. They're filled with gas in this valve right here. So it's effectively like a pistol mag, and you put BBs all in the top here. I think this can take around 30, 40 rounds. And so what you would normally do is put that in an underslung grenade launcher on your primary. And if you were using it, you'd have a little trigger and it's supposed to imitate an underslung grenade launcher. Well, that's what it looks like. However, when I've seen them before, I've always thought it's not really the effect of an underslung grenade launcher, because when you look at it, it's not like it's shooting something at distance which is going to explode. It's actually just kind of dispersing BBs, which is kind of like a short range thing that you're going to use them for. So I know that actually you can now get other versions like Taggin, I believe, which is a company which will make chalk rounds. So effectively you can put some chalk in the top here, or there's a round they do, and effectively that launches it, and when it hits something it explodes with chalk. And actually that is something I've just checked on Crono Arms' website. Seems like something they're doing now as well. So I think that is definitely an upgrade from what I've seen before. But at the time when I bought this, which I think was mid-2020, I wasn't really aware of that, or they weren't around that much. And so I thought, you know what? This is really like a shotgun round, far more than it is like an M203 round, like it is for an underslung grenade launcher round. And so I opened it up and we realized that you put these right in here. They slip in and effectively they get pulled, or these are the valves on the back. So you have a little pin here and here that push the valves and therefore they're going to explode. They're going to shoot BBs straight down these barrels and act as if it's a short barreled shotgun. Short barreled, they're kind of sawn off barreled shotgun. So what I would say with this, guys, is when I saw it, I was like, look, it's cool, but I definitely realized that this felt very much like an early kind of tester because as you can see, and I know that the ones that they're selling now are 3D printed. It's got the lines here where you can see it's been done by a 3D printing machine. For instance, here you can see where, you know, it's actually been layers that it's been done, and it does have some of the kind of like hang off stuff of a 3D printed created gun, and it's not kind of that very high-end 3D printed you see. I have some HPA adapters right now for my gas blowbacks from Tap Airsoft and AirTac. The quality of that 3D printing is very, very good, and you can't even really tell. It's like a polymer feeling kind of, it's great. This is definitely not that. And as I said, this seems like it was an early concept gun, so I don't know what their quality is now, but it came with one of these cloth wraps which came around it, and you can see here, you know, it's 3D printed. So you have these gaps through here. This was kind of hanging off and it wasn't very tightly put in, so I screwed it down and I wrapped this cloth around it, and this tape, and it definitely has secured it a lot more. So I'd say it's usable now, whereas before it was usable, but it probably wasn't going to be for a long time. However, it was worth it just for me to have a concept thing that I was going to kind of try out in different places and people hadn't seen. And also my thoughts were, I'm not going to use this as a primary, and I'm not going to use it as a secondary really, because I'm not going to strap this down to my holster or to the side of my battle belt. But I do realize that it's quite small. I mean, it's very girthy and wide, but it's quite short. And so being able to put it in a backpack or sling it on your back would be very cool, especially if you were, waiting in a room, someone came in and you just double barreled shotgun them. It would be terrifying, and I think it would be very, very cool. And it's also the idea that you don't just have one M203 cartridge, which is kind of enough. You have two of them that you can fire at the same time. Now, this let me run you through just how this works. You've kind of got a lever here, which is spring loaded, and it pulls it back. This is very hard to pull back, which I do think is kind of good, because you don't want this kind of, dropping the M203 shells. You have 3D printed again, if you can see that on the camera. The finish isn't great, but what I would say is these slip in and they're solid in the way that they're not going to come out. The actual rims of it are nicely on there. And then what you have, which I do think is also quite cool. In the UK, you can actually get shotguns for use of hunting. I have one there, which I haven't used in years and years because I don't live there anymore. Very strict rules. You can use them for like pheasant shooting, but you need to have a permit from the government for the police force. You need to have a place to store them, which is a very serious safe bolted into concrete, and the police can come and inspect that at any point to make sure that you're storing that correctly. But I do know double barrel shotguns from that. And so what I think is cool with this is they've almost kind of copied that design where you have like a two-stage trigger. So if you pull this trigger halfway, you can see here there's a pin which effectively is longer on one of them, and there's a shorter one right there. So if you half pull the trigger, it's just going to set off one of the barrels. If you if you pull it really hard, it's going to set off both of the barrels, one then the other. And then if you've already set one off, effectively you can just kind of keep it for the second one and then just hard pull it to use the second round. So I do like that actually that's kind of, how you would do it. And they've done it in a simple design where they've just done one pin longer than the other with the same kind of spring motion. And also basically the functionality of this is in the M203. These are quite expensive. I think they're around $50 depending on which one you get. And I've actually broken one of mine. I just tried to use it as a double so I could show you guys. But this is, the seal's gone on it. So I'm not going to be able to show you guys what it sounds like when it fires both. But I will show you what one of the firing sounds like on this. So hopefully you get a good idea of it. But I do like that because it's very simple, it's plastic, it's kind of, you should be able to fix it fairly easily. But I would say on this, the quality of construction for what I spent on it is not really there. It looks good from far away, it seems functional, you can see it kind of rattles here. And when these are in, I did kind of worry, because these are heavy, the actual M203 shells. It's kind of all of that load is on that catch there. And so if that goes, which it may well could because it's plastic, you've obviously got, a broken M203 shotgun. So let me just make sure I know which one's which. So when I bought this, it actually took me a while because they didn't tell me who the manufacturer was. It took me a while to work out who it was. And as I say, it's chronoarms.com. Go and check them out. But I went to their website, and at the time it was not as well done as their current website. So they may have upgraded all of the build on this, the technology, and how the actual finish is when they send it to you. But I saw this. And so when I looked at it, I was like, look, the other one obviously could be an early project, so it's kind of just showing what it's like. However, this on the site looked kind of not as cool as, a double-barreled sawn-off shotgun, but it did look like something which could kind of be more practical. This is shorter than the other one, and it does have more adaptability. It's got a Picatinny rail there, I don't think you're probably going to run a sight on this or a red dot sight because what's the point? You know, it's for close range and you're going to fire it. And also this probably is going to give you a closer spread just because the barrel's longer. It's going to keep the BBs in a smaller grouping, but realistically this isn't for range. So I thought actually just having this and kind of increasing your spread would be better for me. Now the quality of this feels better. It's definitely a lot more solid. You don't have the rattle. I bought this probably mid to end 2022. So again, we're, you know, start of 2024 if you're watching this in the future, and they may well have made the construction better. But similarly, I was quite surprised that, you know, a lot of this 3D printing is here. It's very obvious when you look at it closely, and it has, you know, some of the pieces that are coming off it, you know, the actual like thread from the 3D printing, like here is pretty bad. Now this isn't hard to kind of file off, and I know some retailers leave them like this so that the owner can kind of file it off and do it as they want. But I would say it definitely was like, wow, I've spent this much money on it. And I did expect probably that not to be the finish. There's things like this where the trigger's 3D printed and it looks fairly solid, but I do think over time, if you pull that too hard, it's gonna snap. It's not metal. And again, you've kind of got gaps. Like here, you see the gaps here. The one thing I really got annoyed by with this, and it's not something I can't change because this is a simple design, is this. You can see here this bolt that they've put through. The screw is a long screw that's gone through, but they've basically just put it through this bolt and there's an excess bit hanging out. Not only that, is it's kind of silver and just doesn't fit in with the actual design. But I was like, look, if this is short, this is very cool. It's not as, you know, authentic looking, but if you were playing some kind of LARPing game, you know, post-apocalyptic kind of thing, I think this would kind of be great. And I do like the kind of the angle of the pistol grip on it. It's definitely something that would feel very satisfying as you fired it. But guys, just to give you an idea of price on these, this one is more expensive, and obviously there's more plastic in it, but I would probably pick this if you guys are going between the two. This is $280, so that is a lot of money to be spending. This one's called the Angryshot XL, and there is a shorter version than this, which is called the Angryshot. I believe that's about $235, so $45 cheaper. Again, it would make sense if that's the plastic cost. And then this, I think, is much more reasonable. This is called the Brickshot, and this is $150. Now, $150 is a lot of money, but you're basically paying for the functionality of having something that's pretty cool, it's pretty different, that actually, you know, is usable, probably not in a lot of situations, but if you do use it and you know, get an elimination with it, it probably feel amazing. And having two of these going off and like 80 BBs coming out would be pretty awesome. It's also very loud, so I'm going to give you guys a little shot of it. But $150, $280, and then yeah, I think the other one is, let me just make sure I got this. It is yeah, $230, so $50 cheaper. They also make more of a kind of Star Wars style shotgun, and that's $500. So as I said, guys, I'm not sure about the quality now. It may well be a lot better than this, so I don't want you guys to kind of factor that in as much, but I would say from when I got it 2 years ago, it wasn't, you know, AAA, and it wasn't necessarily, you know, I spent 150 on this. I was like, that's fair enough. 280 on that, I don't think I'd be particularly happy. But the website's better. Looks like they do a lot more products. They're doing custom kits now for your existing replicas, so you can put stuff like, there's a RoboCop thing here that you can put on the end of your high capper. It looks like they do like a kind of Star Wars style Mandalorian kind of rifle, which looks awesome for 325. They do little things like shrouds on the micro gun, so if you've got like the minigun style, it's kind of like an extension there, which again looks very cool, but I expect it will be 3D printed, so I don't know again the kind of finished quality of it. Anyway, guys, I'm going to give you a quick shot of this just so that you can see or hear what it's like. Let me just make sure this is the right one. I'm going to put it in the longer pin. This is the same use, same design. This is smoother, and this is a lot easier to pull back. So, you know, maybe they have improved and improved. That, for me, is just not good. Just to give you like a little, I mean, that's just easy to get rid of, but just does not look great. So I'm gonna put this in. I actually filmed this video a couple of minutes ago and I couldn't get it to go off. It wasn't actually due to this, it was due to the M203 kind of being jammed, the shell. So I'm hoping that that doesn't happen again, but you can see here, it's kind of satisfying click. Again, it's a little bit of wobble, but it's not too bad. And here it is firing. Yeah, it's loud, it's cool. 2 of those going off, boom, boom, I think would be terrifying to be coming up against. So definitely something you guys should check out. I'd love to know if someone's had a recent one, if you've seen one that is, you know, made in the last 6 months, and what the quality is like. Is it a lot better? Is it similar to what I'm talking about? If you could leave that in the comments below, that'd be awesome. And I'll be back again with another video very soon. Thanks guys, bye.